Hello, hello. I am making a couple fresh tinctures today, and I thought I would show you how I do it. So this morning I picked some beautiful mullein leaves. So we're going to be making fresh mullein tincture today, and red clover blossoms. And so I'll do the red clover blossoms first, and as I prepare them, I'll tell you a little bit about them and why we make tinctures. These red clover blossoms were growing all around the yard, and they're commonly grown in people's yards. And I'm making a fresh tincture today with them, which I'm really excited about. And so here I've got snips, and I'm just going to be cutting the red clover blossoms a little bit as I put them into the bowl. Cutting your plant material increases the surface area for the alcohol to extract all the properties. And so red clover is really amazing for the lymphatic system. It helps remove blocks of our lymphatic system and improve the flow. It's a good respiratory aid. It is a really nourishing tonic. It has all the vitamins, it has calcium, iron, all the amazing things. And it's a bit of a nervine too. It can help with our nervous system and stress. So red clover is really wonderful. And we make tinctures. So tinctures are when you extract the plant's constituents in alcohol. You can also use glycerin and make a glycerite, or vinegar. So you can extract in those menstruums as well, which menstruum is just the term for the medium used to extract the herbs. I like to tincture in alcohol because alcohol works the best at pulling out all of the properties of the herbs. It really does a wonderful extraction. The glycerin is usually used for children, or if someone has a sensitivity to alcohol, but glycerin is not that good at extracting the constituents like alcohol is. And types of alcohol, I use a vodka for almost all tinctures I make. I have used brandy before because it goes well with the flavor of certain tinctures like Vitex or Chasteberry. I like doing that one in brandy. Generally, in terms of the proof of alcohol, if you're using fresh plant material, you want a higher proof alcohol, but also 80 proof would work, which means 40% alcohol. So that one works, but generally you want 100 proof for either fresh, or if you're going to do herbs that have a high resinous content, like herbs that are a little bit sticky, or things like roots, and then you want a higher alcohol content. But you know, making tinctures is easy and very flexible, and there's a lot of variability with making tinctures. And so 80 proof, 40% alcohol vodka works wonderfully. I use it for almost all the tinctures I make. And prior till recently, I thought that I needed to dry all the herbs before I made tinctures, but that's just not the case. You know, alcohol has some water content in it already, and same with the fresh herbs, they have water content. So the there are benefits and properties of the fresh plant that are available to us when we use the material fresh. And alcohol is a very wonderful preservative, and it will preserve your material for a really long time. So tinctures are very shelf stable, they last a while, and fresh tinctures are wonderful. Like I said, I thought I had to dry all of the herbs prior to making a tincture, but I don't. So I'm just making it easier on myself today and using them fresh. However, dried herbs are great, wonderful for tinctures. If you don't have access to fresh herbal medicine, fresh herbs, dried is just fine, and you can find a lot of dried herbs in bulk in your local co-op kind of store, or if there's an herbal apothecary store, or even online. You can find a lot of dried herbs that way. I encourage you to learn about what's growing in your yard. So, like these red clovers were growing all over the grass, and the mullein was growing against the house. Alright, so this is probably enough for the size jar that I have right now. So you can see just in this bowl I've been cutting each flower like in half, or in half again, and then I'm gonna just take this jar, and so I reuse jars. This was once an almond butter jar, this was once a jar for kefir. So nothing fancy here, I reuse these. You could get ball jars if you'd like a cleaner look. And I use one of these a lot with herbal medicine making. It just, these are one of the canning tools that you can get from Ball. It just fits right over most like wide mouth jars, and it just helps so they don't spill. Of course the wind might want to blow them away. So I'm just going to pack my herbs in here. So beautiful. Alright, and we want a loose pack. We don't really want to stuff them down. And you want to fill the jar about half to 2/3 of the way full. So that looks pretty good to me. They're kind of loose in there. I didn't stuff them. I just pushed down the top a little bit. And then we're gonna fill with the alcohol. So tinctures I don't really measure. You just want to measure based on the jar. So half to 2/3 full. And then we're going to fill the jar with vodka until it covers the plant material. Here we go. And the plant material will want to float, so you just want to cover all the way up until, you know, that spot that didn't have any herbs. So as long as you fill up to there, you can see at the bottom there's a gap, because the material wants to float, and that's okay. I always give it a little shake. And then you'll want to label it. So I brought a Sharpie out. Couldn't find the tape, so I'm going to label directly on the top. And I just write the name and the date. Alright. So I've got red clover, made it on July 23rd. And now this I'm going to keep in a dark place, probably my closet. And whenever I see it, I'm going to pick it up and give it a little shake. And I'm going to leave it in my closet anywhere from 1 to 2 months. 4 to 6 weeks is recommended for tincture to allow the alcohol all the optimal time to pull out the herb's constituents. So it's really as simple as that. And then after the 1 to 2 months, when you're ready to decant the liquid to harvest it, your tincture, you just pour this over a strainer and you catch all the plant material in a strainer. And then from there you can put it into a little dropper bottle and label that as well. And you've got your homemade medicine. So now I'm going to do the same thing but with mullein. And whoops. And I'm gonna wipe out my bowl here a little bit. So mullein is a really amazing herb for the respiratory system. It's really good at soothing, in particular, dry, hoarse coughs that are really sore, really painful, really dry. It's wonderful for that. And so, as you can see, oops, a little bug. Yeah, these are organic materials, so you might get bugs. Mullein's really fuzzy. Sometimes it picks up things and you want to get it off, but again, this plant was just growing against the house, and I had several plants growing against the house, so I just picked a few leaves off of each plant. You never want to take the entire plant. And so I just folded this up here, and I like my snips. These are my flower snips, but I like them for doing this herb stuff because they work really well. You could use a kitchen scissors, it's just fine, but I find that the snips just really cut through the material effortlessly. And so I'm just cutting this mullein into strips. You can kind of see I'm like kind of ribboning it. Again, I'm just increasing the surface area of this plant so that there's more surface area, more of the plant to infuse into the alcohol. And so mullein is really helpful for those who have been exposed to smoke or harsh particulates in the air and have a really intense scratchy feeling in their throat or in their lungs, or have a cough. All right. A couple of these leaves look quite a bit dirty, so I'm going to leave them there. Another thing you can do with mullein is you can smoke it. You can make an herbal blend with mullein, and it's said that it can help people quit smoking. I don't know if that's true, but there's a lot of different herbs you can actually smoke and make your own herbal blends with. Mullein is a wonderful one. So here's my fresh mullein, and I'm gonna take my old almond butter container with a little lid and pack that in there. And if you were using dried herbs, this would be the same exact process. Beautiful. Wow. Nayland just made a picture. You want to show? He called this fall. All the beautiful colors. Alright, so I've got this herb, mullein herb, into, it's hard to see with the label on it, but I filled this jar. It's a little more than 2/3 full, but this will be just fine. And again, I like making tinctures with herbs. I mean, I do everything. I will dry herbs for tea. I love tea. I'll make herbal infused oils for rubbing on the body and making healing salves with. But I also always try and make a tincture with the herbs because the alcohol just does a really good job at extracting all of the beneficial properties of the herbs. And when you take a tincture, you only need a little bit at a time, a little dropper full, sometimes less because they're pretty powerful, and you get all of the herbs' beneficial properties and constituents available to you quickly. Because with the alcohol, it enters your bloodstream quickly and distributes the herbs and their properties to where they're needed in your body. And so it's just a very helpful medicine to have on hand. And again, I encourage you to look around what's growing in your yard. You might be surprised at what kind of medicine you can make that's right outside your front door here. So again, I'm just labeling this mullein and the date. And so this is ready to be put in a dark place next to clover. And I like making my tinctures single flowered or herb tinctures at a time. I don't mix the herbs when I'm making a tincture, but I might afterwards. So I like having, you know, separate plant tinctures, and then if I am making a bottle of medicine, once they're strained and decanted, I might mix them together in a bottle to get a desired effect. And interestingly enough, red clover and mullein work very synergistically with each other, because again, red clover is good for the respiratory system as well. So I might end up mixing these two. And it's pretty amazing that these plants are blooming and thriving at the same time. So really we can learn so much from the plants about when they bloom and when they, if they're growing right next to each other, if they're companions. Just paying attention to nature and even to what's growing in your own backyard can provide you a lot of clues as to the synergy between plants. And so apparently these are very synergistic, and I'm excited to have this medicine on hand. I hope this video was helpful. As you can see, tinctures are very easy, and I hope this inspires you to make your own. Thank you.